All right, it's what the hell day is this? Hi. Yeah, sorry, Siri. My stupid what? Okay, I think it's the 11th. Yeah, we're gonna go with the 11th. It's January 11th, 2023, and I'm Taylor. And this is the Cranky Comic Book Review Show. It's where I review the week's comics that I bought from worst to best, and sometimes I'm cranky. I'm not actually all that cranky today. These are mostly kind of good books. There's some issues. Get it, issues, because comics. God damn, I'm fucking hilarious. But yeah, there's some stuff here, and we'll get into it. But like the worst, and it's not even necessarily a bad book, but it is what it is. Because I said so, people. It is my damn channel. Danger Street issue number 2. It's Tom King, Jorge Fornes. Yeah, this. I want to like this. It's got a lot of Silver Age characters in it. It's got an intriguing enough story that near as I can tell, and the art I like. I like Jorge Fortes' art. However, it's got the Tom King problem. It's not a good monthly, and Tom King reads a lot better collected generally. And I've learned my lesson. One of his books made my top 10 of the year. You can watch that video. Maybe I'll put a link here if I remember. I probably won't, but I might. And if I go there, just do it. Otherwise, just look on my channel and you'll see top 10 comics last year, and you can see which Tom King book made the list. I don't want to spoil it because then I don't get the views and the algorithms. But yeah, it's convoluted. It's probably a little bit timey-wimey, going backwards and forwards in time. And it's very verbose and dialogue heavy, and there's a shitload of characters, some of which stand out and some which don't. And so keeping track of all this, it's a Herculean task to do for a monthly book. And I think it'll probably read fairly well. It has at least a possibility of reading fairly well when it's all said and done. Because I don't tend to hate Tom King, although he did do some. I don't always hate him. I'll just leave it at that. But I can't read this monthly. It's not. I don't remember much of what happened in the first one. There's just too much nonsense going on in this one for me to like keep track. And that's it. It's I'm holding it as the worst because it's a flaw. When you're writing a monthly book and when you're releasing something every month, you have to have these. It doesn't have to be the same story beats, but you have to like give readers a way in every month. I know Jim Shooter was really extreme on it and said some of the month is everybody's first book, and it's a mini. It's not. I don't expect like my hand held all the way through it, but you got to have at least a little bit of like ebb and flow instead of just keeping the action like this and keeping the story going like this without at least a little bit of a recap when you're 30 days out from the last issue. So we're going worst. It is what it is. All right, next. This is another one that pains me to put it this low on the list because I liked a lot of this book. It's Black Cloak. It's Dark Horse. No, is it Dark Horse? No, it's Image. Never mind. Kelly Thompson writing and Meredith McLaren on the art. And the art is what kills me. It does not fit this story, and it's too simplified and detail. There aren't any details to get lost. Like you might not be able to tell on these pages, but it's a very, very simplified art style. Very just stripped down and minimal. And I don't necessarily always mind that. But this is a dense world-building issue. It's a heavy sci-fi fantasy story. And it's a murder mystery. And like you need sometimes visual clues as to what's going on. And there just aren't enough here. Like the figures get stripped down to so much of just they just become like shapeless blobs in some panels, and it just does not fit the story. I don't think Meredith McLaren's a bad artist. I just don't think their work fits here, and that's not. It's not an insult, I don't think. Because I do think in a different kind of story, I think their art could be very effective. And I really actually like the story. If I was like basing it just on the story alone, this would probably be towards the top of the list for this month. But comics are a collaborative effort. And like it takes all the pieces put together to make a delicious sandwich. You can't have lukewarm lettuce in the sandwich and expect me to like it. You know, it's like one of those things. Like it's like, and I'm not calling it, I guess I should just call the art a lukewarm sandwich. But yeah, it's just, the art really holds this one back. But if you like high fantasy with a smattering of sci-fi and like a murder mystery story and like world building that doesn't just give you everything in one chunk, but expects you to like pick up clues from the dialogue and from what's happening in the story, you might really like this. I think Kelly Thompson did a great job telling the tale of this, but I just don't think that and it actually has a pretty effective cliffhanger ending. We're like, whoa, didn't expect that, but the art just didn't. It's annoyed me so much that I have to be done with this, I think, or maybe I'll trade weight it, maybe, but yeah, just didn't do it for me. So it is what it is on that one. And another one. All right, this one we have the DC Universe Lazarus Planet Alpha. God, I still hate DC's titles. Mark Waid wrote this, and Mark Waid's a solid writer. He can do setup, and he can do an interesting job of like building an event without making it seem too eventy, if that makes sense. Like, this is a big world event. It's the Lazarus pit exploded, or Lazarus Island exploded, and there's Lazarus rain jumping down everywhere, and stuff happens, and things, and there's a fight, and Robin was trying to save the day, and he's like formed a ragtag team. And yeah, it's actually a pretty decent setup. I probably will continue on this. What holds this one back is the coloring. It's very dark, like very dark, and it's just, or maybe it's just all tinged green. And I get what they're going for, Dave Stewart. I think it's Dave Stewart in the colors, and it's a longtime colorist who's like should know their shit and probably does know their shit. But like, let's see who we got here. Variant covers. I'm asleep. Okay, it doesn't say who's. Oh yeah. No, hang on. Brad Anderson's on the colors. And like the colors are just, everything is just dulled down and dark with like weird, I don't know, like it just does not do the art justice. Riccardo Federici's art is great on this book, and the coloring just really holds it back. Like all of it's just muted, and all of it's like just kind of tinged and like, okay, take this, for instance. You see this page? That's the ad. Very, very bright. That's the story. It's all just kind of washed down to one dull level, and it really, really holds it back. As far as the story goes, this issue is mostly set up. It's an alpha issue to an event, and like there's a little bit of a cliffy hangery thing at the ending, and it's decent. I probably will keep reading this if Mark Waid's writing. If he's in charge of this event, which I have not researched or looked anything into, I'll probably keep it up because I do really dig the art. I really dig some of what happened in here. There's some really cool panels and there's some really cool like setup stuff. It's just you gotta brighten the colors, and I can maybe look past it. It might be one of those where you have said this for about 6 months now. I might read it digitally. We'll see. But yeah, it's got some fun potential. There's also a backup story featuring the Monkey Prince or Monkey King or whatever the heck. That's pretty goddamn awful. That character bugged me when I tried reading the first 2 issues of it, and this issue also, or this backup story also bugged me. So you could skip that back issue. I mean, I guess it gives some like insight into maybe one of the main villains, maybe. But what is good about this one is I've not been keeping up with the Batman versus Robin. I've not been keeping up with the Monkey Prince, and I'm still pretty clear as to what's going on because you have a writer in charge of this that knows how to like do a setup and knows how to get new readers involved. So good stuff, but not top of the list. Next. All right, this one might have been, you could have swapped these. Like all these in the middle here, you could probably swap the order. It's one of those weeks. Ghost Rider number, whatever the hell this is, number 10. I like this cover. You get Ghost Rider versus Exhaust, which might be the dumbest name ever for a villain. Also, it's a really dumb reveal for the villain, and the artist is not as good as what has been on here. Who are the artists? Corey Smith and Dave Cutler on the art this month. And you get some, big panels and stuff, but the last artist, who I think is the cover artist, I can't think of the hell it is. Valenza, maybe? Whatever. Who's the cover artist in this? Bjorn Barons. I think Bjorn Barons did the interiors previously, and they were much better. This is like the big climax of this. I said climax because I'm 4. Teen. This is the climax of this arc, and it's a dull climax. That's you had all this setup, like setting up Exhaust as a big villain, and you have all this setup as like setting up the other character in here. I'm not going to spoil if you've not been reading it. The other bigger villain in theory, and it's just kind of a dull resolution to it. Really, just for everything else that's been going on, the way that this like wrapped this shit up was just pretty fucking boring, and that's a criminal sin in an action heavy horror comic. Like and the art doesn't always fit it either. So like those three things aside, or not to God, combined, that's kind of where this is on the list. In fact, honestly, just consider this below Lazarus Pit Alpha, whatever the fuck it's called. Because and here's the thing, I read these all, and then I immediately make the video. So these are all first impressions. I probably should re-rank them all, but I'm not going to edit, because like I'm trying to get this video out today. And next, we're going next. This is a hot mess of a weekly. I feel out of practice. I did this shit last week, but I'm feeling out of practice. Daredevil number 7, the homage to the Frank Miller cover. Spoilers: Bullseye's not in this damn issue. This is the continuation of where Elektra and Daredevil set up the hand or the fist or the fisting hand, and have all these criminals that they've redeemed and are on an island working on redeeming them / making their army to fight the inevitable battle with Frank Castle, who's also the fist or the hand. Whichever one's one, the one's the other, and I can't. I mean, okay. Fist, hand, sparkle fingers, whatever the fuck. They're going to end up fighting each other. They don't in here yet. This is still setup. And this really does ramp up the setup, and it gets to the thing where I think the battle and all the conflict, hopefully conflict is coming next, but just get there already. It feels like there's been some gaps in the storytelling, like maybe I missed an issue. I don't think I did, but it just reads like I did. So like we're getting into this, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why some of these details? And it could just be that I'm old and addled and losing my goddamn mind. But I think that like there's some stuff in here that like Chip Zdarsky usually does a better job of like pacing from month to month, and like he just didn't on this one. And also the art is two different artists. I like Marco Cicchetto much better than the other guy. The other guy's not bad, and I'm not going to... Should I look at them? I didn't put these in bags for a reason, so I could open them. Then I guess I should tell you who the other guy is. Who is the other guy? Oh, Rafael de la Torre. Not bad. Solid. I get solid enough, but just doesn't have the dynamism that Cicchetto has. And you can, like... The style's similar enough that you might not even notice a change, but like if you've been paying attention, I think you will. And yeah, you get the Daredevil in his new costume. You get some like weird setup. Again, just all setup, but solid setup, but missing, like, you feel like you're missing a little bit. So, all right. Next, we have one that, like, I really bought expecting to throw it over my shoulder, kind of. Not really. I figured I'd just, like, take a flyer on this book and see how it is. And, like, maybe it's just my mood this week. And maybe, that's how reviews go. You have to review in the mood you're in, right? So this is Avengers War Across Time, issue number 1, written by Paul Levitz, who I guess is a longtime editor at DC and is no longer at DC. Art by Alan Davis, who was one of my favorite old school kind of artists. He did the first couple issues of Excalibur, and I really enjoyed his art on that. Like he's got this very distinctive style of drawing faces that I really dig. And then this is a weird little book. How much was it? Oh, $6. Oh, geez. Okay. Little pricey. It was $6, but you get a lot of. It's a thick boy book. It's how many? I wish I did page numbers. Doesn't matter. It's a thick boy book. And what it is, it's set in Silver Age Avengers continuity. It's like kind of right after like Avengers number 11 or 12 back in the day. And while it's not a perfect fit, and it's not like written by Stan Lee or whatever, it's not like a send-up or a pastiche or like anything like degrading the Silver Age stuff. It just kind of like feels like a Silver Age story drawn by Alan Davis. Ugh, Jesus Christ, I'm out of practice. And that's a good thing. Like, you get some cheesiness, you get some, like, 60s words thrown in and, like, some slang thrown in for good measure. You get, like, the bad guy that's not what they seem. You get the Avengers fighting each other in certain ways. You get, like, Iron Man before he could solve everything with nanotech. And it's just a fun book. It is $6. So you have to like Silver Age writing and like that kind of stuff in order to like this. And if you don't like Alan Davis and you like want like more of a modern style book, this is not going to be for you. But I just, whatever reason, I started this and I kept liking it more and more as I started going through it. And I was like, you know what? This is a fun read. And so it's a fun read, a fun throwback to Silver Age stuff. And I dug it. So, and I get why they're War Across Time. I mean, you could probably tell who the big bad guy is. Spoilers, it's in every goddamn Marvel commercial ever now, and like they're trying to really make fetch happen with Kang. But anyways, not bad. All right, next. I didn't think this one came out this week either. It might be a week early, but whatever. I'm reviewing it because I got it. Moon Knight number 19. Not bad. I mean, it's another solid issue. It's Federico Sabatini on the art, who's not Capuccio. Mostly, there's an A plot and a B plot. The B plot is actually starring Moon Knight. I mean, like, and it's Moon Knight and Hunter's Moon going after some underground thing, and it's kind of forgettable. Not awful, but like the villain's kind of like, oh, all right. I guess it's a villain who's actually on the cover, whoever this is, that they fought before, but I don't remember him. I don't think it was this arc. I think it's a throwback to like the first run of Moon Knight, probably in the middle where it kind of got really shitty. And then you get the other plot is around Zodiac and like Zodiac in jail and in therapy, and that's more interesting. Pretty dialogue heavy. This is definitely a setup issue. Like nothing in here is really does a ton to advance things. You learn more about the past of like you get some revisionist Moon Knight lore history and stuff, and then you get like a little bit of a teaser at the end as far as what's coming up. And it's if you like Moon Knight and you've liked what Jed McKay has done, you're gonna like this. It does like the little bit of like added setup to the Moon Knight lore is probably the best part about this. And then you get some like the Zodiac Killer or whatever the heck his name is, being a little more badass. But it's not a fantastic issue, but it's still pretty fun. If I were to re-rank these, I'd probably put this ahead of this. So I'm shifting it all around, people. But it is what it is. All right, next. We have Specs. Number 3. This is the issue where the book takes a turn. It's David Boer on the writing, who also did Canto, which I kind of fucking hated, but I really have been liking this. And Chris Sheehan on the art. And like the without spoiling a whole lot, these kids come across these magical glasses that grant them wishes. And shit goes horribly wrong. And shit in this book goes really horribly wrong in this issue. And like you kind of learn that there's more to it than even you initially thought with these glasses and stuff. And you kind of learn, like, yeah, this is the issue where it really takes a jump into the horror. And I'm there for it. I don't want to spoil this one a whole lot. The art's effective, not super distinctive, I guess. But it's a decent job of telling the story by Chris Sheehan. And the coloring is decent. It's nice and moody and where it needs to be. I'm probably showing you like the moodiest pages in here. And I don't want to hold them up for long. You can pause it if you really want some spoilers. But, nice, decent job of shifting the palette around. And nice, yeah, it's an effective story. It was my pleasant surprise of the week, other than the Avengers All the Time, or whatever, War Across Time. So this one, like, I expected this to take a dip and, like, really kind of lose me. But this was better than issue number 2. Probably better than issue 1. It's probably my favorite issue of this. So it's kind of a rare book where it keeps getting better every issue. And I can't remember. I don't think this one actually did. I think it was issue number 1 I liked, issue number 2 is this, and issue number 3 is this. So, it goes in waves. But I'm enjoying this pleasantly. So Specs, number 3, decent stuff. And then my favorite book of the week, it's 10,000 Black Feathers, number 5. The last issue, or 10,000 Black Feather, yeah. A Bone Orchard Mythos book, another awkward-ass title. That's Jeff Lemire and Andre Sorrentino. This one has Dave Stewart on the colors. Sorry. The other one did not. But yeah, this is moody-ass, creepy-ass Sorrentino and Lemire. If you've read any of the Gideon's Falls or the Primordial or whatever, that these two love to pair up, and they have their own world-building mythology going. Like the Bone Orchard Mythos is like horror, sci-fi, fantasy tinged world they're creating. It started off with a hardcover graphic novel. Now there's a 5-issue miniseries. I don't know what's next. This is one where you kind of have to be along for the ride and trust the creative team. It's like peeling back a bit of an onion where, like, even at the end of this miniseries, you don't really get a whole lot of idea about the bigger picture. You just get a little more of a nugget where you're like, oh, okay, I don't know what's going on, but it's fucking creepy and I'm there for it. And like, you just do get these like gorgeous spreads and gorgeous like just imagery that like Sorrentino's fantastic at. Like every page just kind of oozes atmosphere. And that's actually like Lemire is playing into the strengths too of Sorrentino. And this is a very atmospheric title. Like you're getting a lot more atmosphere than you're getting really plot. Like it's a pretty plot light issue. It does resolve things that have happened in the previous 4, but you're also it's kind of like a dreamlike book where you're not 100% sure what's happened, 100% sure what's real, or how it actually is resolved. So you have to be okay with all of those things in order to really like this. But I do. I trust Lemire, I trust Sorrentino, and I'm like, I don't need everything handed to me on a here, this is everything platter. And I know that maybe contradicts something I said earlier with the goddamn Danger Street book, but there's a difference. This is like a moody layering building of atmosphere, and it's easy enough to follow along where you don't forget things every month. That's a hot job of mess where you just have to read it all at once. You're going to be lost. So the two differences. That's two bookends of two covers of the same book, two pieces of sandwich bread. I don't know. I'm trying to force analogies down everybody's throat. Anyways, favorite book of the week, 10,000 Black Feathers, number 5. And that'll do it. I'm going to get out of here and go make probably a sandwich, but without any lukewarm lettuce. Don't be a dick. I'll probably try to be more on my game next week, but no fucking promises, people, because whatever. I'm a hot mess. But yeah, don't be a dick. See ya.